Well, hello there folks, welcome back to the woods. So I'm out of content out at the big shelter, and I'm actually starting the project regarding the kitchen, rebuilding the kitchen. So not sure if you've seen the last video, but if you have, you'll know that the kitchen actually collapsed. I'll pop a wee video to that just in the top right hand corner there. But basically, the situation I've got just now, one of the things I need to get with this is a bit of elevation for the point of view of the construction of it when I'm making it. So I was sitting there thinking, right, how am I going to get that? I don't have anything, a block of wood or something like that I can stand on. So I've come up with the bright idea of making a step ladder. Now, to me, that's part of bushcraft, sort of sitting there going, right, this is what I need, what materials do I have around me, and is it going to be feasible to do? So it's going to be using all my skills, all the wood skills that I've actually got, scotch augers, draw knives, etc, to actually make it itself. But I'm really excited about the project and really excited about the challenge. Once I've got that made, it'll then be a case of moving on to the kitchen. Now, basically, I'm not going to be doing an overnighter tonight, but I do have 2 days off, so I'll be coming back tomorrow to actually finish off the project. So a lot of that today is just going to be a case of going up into the woods and getting the materials and starting all the drilling, etc. as well. So really excited. Hopefully it'll work. But please join me in it. It'll be fun sort of trying to see if we can get this to actually come together, so that I do have an actual ladder there that I can get up to the sort of heights I'm needing to actually be able to sort of peg everything in. So just going to get everything sort of set up at camp just now, and then we'll head off up into the woodland and we'll get all the materials. So one thing I've sort of noticed as I've been sort of getting camp set up that I'm really pleased about. Now I still haven't actually seen a bird on the bird table, but if you have been following the sort of channel for a wee while, you'll know that I built a bird table quite a while ago, and I still haven't actually seen any birds on it, which I'm still convinced they're taking the mickey out of me. But what I have done is the last 2 times I've come to the woodland, I've actually filled the table up with mealworm and also things like fat balls. And on both instances, the actual table has been completely cleared by the time I've come back, so it's really exciting. So I'll show you the table just now. So I've just replenished everything. So I tend to do sort of 2 layers, and I'm fairly convinced it's not squirrels, because obviously the way that I've done the table is that they can't then sort of climb up the pole to get underneath the bottom to the actual food itself. So really pleased with the concept that the birds are actually feeding off it, and they're sort of getting used to it. But again, it would be lovely over the next couple of days if I do maybe get some footage. But nah, that's really pleased me. Basically 4 pretty thick pieces, and it's going to be a case of actually sort of drilling scotch auger holes into each individual thing, probably about 3 rungs in the actual ladder itself. And what I've come across is this bit here is a little bit too thick, but the sort of extended part that's actually just on the other side there. So I'm going to take this down just now, and then we're going to actually cut this up into sections that I actually need just for the ladder itself. And then it's really just going to be a case of actually having 4 pieces exactly the same thickness, and then it's going to be a case of 6 rungs, and I'll sort of go through it once I've actually got it all back to the shelter exactly how I'm going to put it up. I may even put a wee drawing, a little sort of kiddie drawing that I've actually done just of the actual design itself, but it does sort of show you exactly what I'm planning on doing. So I may put that up just now just so you can actually see it. But what we'll do just now is we'll just get this bit down. Just need to be careful when that comes down just so that I don't catch myself with it, and then we'll get that sort of chopped up, and then we'll search around the actual woodland just for some of the other materials that we're actually needing. But there's plenty down trees in this particular section just now that I can actually use, so material wise is going to be absolutely fine. So let's get this one sorted. Okay, so the ladder is not going to be that long, But as I say, what I'm just going to do just now is just take it back so I can actually cut it down to the lengths I want. Okay, so that's me sort of got all the material back, and again it'll be clear once I actually start doing it, but basically I'm going to be cutting down all the pieces to the exact same length, and then I'm going to just be wedging off an actual section, so the two pieces are going to be basically like that, and I've also gathered some sticks there as well to be able to use pegs to be able to sort of whittle down 1-inch Scotch auger pegs, or 1-inch diameter to match the Scotch auger. But I'm just going to start taking the actual the things down. Now what I'm planning on doing is the spare bits of wood from here I'm then going to be using as the actual steps themselves, and I'm only going to have steps on one side, and then I'm going to have a lock system on it as well, so it will all become clear. But let's get this first section done. Okay, so that's got two pieces done. I'm just going to get the other two pieces prepared, and then it's going to be a case of getting the actual drilling done. And there's a way I'm going to try and measure everything out without using rulers, etc. as well. So we'll see how we go with that. And I'm just going to use some charcoal just to mark down where I'm needing it cut off. Okay, so we'll go and cut these wedges here, and it's only going to be about half down so that they actually just sit in together. And again, that's just going to be actually joined together just with an actual peg. Now I'm going to pick all that stuff up and use all that for firewood. And again, what I'm going to do is use my Bushcraft ruler, which is basically just a homemade ruler, just marked out with notches and then charcoal. So very, very simplistic. But does the job. double check the measurements. Yep. Perfect. Really cool piece of kit and a nice little simple project, certainly for scouts and things like that as well. Very easy to actually make. So this is a 1-inch Scotch auger that I'm actually using, and then as I said, I'll show you tomorrow what I'm planning on doing just for actually making the steps, because the steps themselves will actually just at the end of the steps I'm going to make like a 1-inch peg that'll just all sort of go into each other. But I'm also going to flatten out the top of the step and notch it just so it gives my feet some grip. Right, so that's one of the holes drilled. I'm just going to do the other two just now, and that's probably going to be me for today. But that was a really good day. So basically I had the Forestry Commission come over and we were just having a little sort of chat about the camp and all that sort of things as well. And very much appreciated. Some of them sort of watched the YouTube channel and watched the videos, so very much appreciated, guys. Thanks a lot. But also we're just talking about sort of future things, etc. as well. So this particular forest is going to get felled, so it will be a case of the actual forestry the trees itself will go, camp will go, etc. But I still have the camp slightly further up, so we'll see what happens with that particular one. But as I said, no, super supportive, really pleased with the actual camp and blown away by the garden and all that sort of things as well. So I said very much appreciated for the feedback. But as I said, it was just sort of, we ended up chatting for quite a wee while. So really good, really pleased that they came over and actually had a wee chat. So as I said, just going to finish off these two, and then it'll just be a case of packing up for tonight, and then it'll be a case of coming back tomorrow. So I'll give you a shout just before I head off. Well, that's the end of day one. Thoroughly enjoyable day. I think I was sort of saying earlier on, I just love building, but it's great when you can see in your head, or my head I should say, you know, the sort of final project and each individual part of it sort of coming together. So I can't wait till tomorrow to sort of finish it off. I'm going to manage to get here quite early tomorrow, so I should be able to definitely get the project finished, and then it'll be a case of sort of putting into action the plans for the kitchen. I have to admit, I'm really missing the kitchen. It's such a big part of the actual shelter itself, and even when the Forestry Commission team were over, they were sort of saying it was a shame as well. So again, we'll get that built up as quick as we possibly can. I've got some really nice ideas and some plans with it. I'm going to integrate a wood store into the actual kitchen itself as well, so it'll just be a case of being able to just sort of turn around and put the wood in the wood store onto the fire. So again, that's going to make a big difference. But as I said, just going to slowly pack up tonight, and we'll see you all in the morning. Well, that's me back for day two, and as I said, really excited about just sort of finishing off the step ladder itself. So what I'm going to do just now is I'm just going to batter on and try and get all the components done. So I'm just going to cut off the sort of end section there, just so that I can actually sort of butt the two pieces together. And then on this particular section there's no drill holes, and then I just need to replicate that on the other side, and then it'll just be a case of making the steps itself. And on the steps I am planning using the sort of draw knife to be able to sort of cut wedges in it, so the fact that it's a bit more stable for my footing, etc. So let's get cracking with this piece just now. So I've just been working away there just now for the last little bit, just making the second V. Now what I tend to do is basically for the drill holes, these particular ones here are going to be vitally important that I get them absolutely bang on, because they're going to have to match up with the opposite side when it comes to putting the steps in. So I tend to use this sort of technique. So what I've basically done, that side's already been drilled, so I actually put the pegs through just now just to sort of hold everything position. There's a peg in the top to hold position as well, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie these off, and then I'm going to drill through the holes that I've already drilled, and that will mark out on the second one, on the lower pole, exactly where I need to drill. And then the final stage will be getting the steps done. So as I said, we'll get the steps actually made, and again I need to sort of make that there's going to be sort of a nice flat surface just when I'm actually sort of standing on it, so that there's no issues whatsoever. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy. So that'll just hold them in position, and then all I'm going to be doing is just sort of marking on the second one where that's going to be drilled. And as I said, that'll just hold that one in place, so when it comes to me actually doing, so that's been pegged in two places, so when it comes to me actually drilling the second two holes, they're going to be in exactly the right spot. Well, that's been good fun. I've really enjoyed that. It's just nothing better than just sort of working away, just as the sort of birds are chirping away in the background. Now, talking of birds, basically the bird table has had full action. There's been robins on it all day. So it's great to see that they're actually finally taking the food. What it does mean is I'm just going to have to be more consistent and sort of coming up and actually putting out the mealworm. But it's just fantastic to watch. So I'm going to have a wee break just now, get some food down me before I move on to making the steps, because that's probably going to be the most challenging part, and again I'll show you why as soon as we start building the first one. So it's going to be burgers for lunch, so really hungry, really looking forward to it. So let's get cracking with that just now, and then we'll get the final part done. And I'm looking forward to hopefully there's no outtakes. So if there is anything, I will certainly be putting it in the video, but I'm going to certainly try out the actual step ladder obviously before I go home today. So hopefully it works okay. So let's get some food on just now, and we'll get ourselves some lunch. Well, I'm not going to lie, I've been looking for this all day. This can't go wrong with burger and cheese. Okay, so I actually have another one, another burger, so I'm going to go and eat that as well. So I'll catch up with you after lunch. Okay, so that's me on to building the steps now themselves. So what I've done is I've just measured the distance of the actual main poles. So there are 8 notches on each side. So basically what I'm going to be doing is actually just measuring that out and drilling just a wee end part there. And basically what that does is I need this actually to be 1 inch thick. So I'm going to be cutting this down so that it's actually just like a 1 inch peg just at the end. So basically I've drilled an actual section at the top just so I can try and gauge that 1 inch, and then just use the ruler just to sort of measure everything out. And again, as I said, it's literally just little notches on the thing itself. So what we'll do is we'll cut down and then we'll just move round, and then it'll just be a case of chiseling out the ends. Right, let's give it a try. A few wee things I'm going to need to get fixed. But fundamentally, kind of go up it. Yeah, I said, just need to do a bit of work on the back more than anything else, because that seems to be slightly off centre. But also it was really hard. Some of the pegs were basically a case of they were, as I was sort of saying there when I was putting them in, there were knots in it, and it was just almost impossible to try and get it down to that 1 inch diameter. So a bit of a challenge. But not happy enough with that. Well, what can I say? That was really hard work. Really hard work. And it was more just the difficulty of trying to get everything to sort of, you got 2 bits of wood and you need to actually have the holes drilled at exactly the right distance and the exact right sort of distance apart, as well as sort of on the opposite side of the wood. So a bit of a challenge, more or less worked. A bit of work to do next time I come, sort of idea, just to perfect it. But as I said, thoroughly enjoyable, as every day in the woods always is. But as I said, I run a wee bit behind schedule now, so I'm going to finish off the video now. So thanks very much for watching. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.